What do you believe? Do you believe it enough? Conviction is beyond belief. It's doing what it takes for as long as it takes to achieve an end that you are convicted should be true. Are you in it to win it? That's our topic on this episode of the Educators Among Us podcast.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm very honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast. This is a program that we intentionally created because we noticed that educators run into so many barriers in the work. There's just throughout the school year, there's all kinds of things that try to get in the way. A lot of distractions, conflict, confusion, dysfunction, and yet educators change lives. I guarantee you can think of a person in your life who really made a difference, who spoke a word of truth, who provided insights, who believed in you, who held you accountable, who raised the bar. And it made a difference. It's probably a big reason why you are so successful today, and hopefully is something that you built on in your own life and is a motivation for what you do in changing the lives of others. Because the really interesting thing that I've learned working in business and education and other forums is that, hey, every educator is a leader and every leader is an educator. It's part of the journey. We all get to teach. Sometimes it's within our family, sometimes it's in our work or our church or other places, but we all have an influence. We're educators that we teach by both our model, in other words, what we do, the testimony of our lives, as well as the things that we formally teach and share and developing the skills and the insights and the wisdom, especially of others, because as we move into this new era of education, wisdom has a profound value, and it becomes even more valuable as we move forward and using different technologies and as knowledge continues to develop at a fast pace. This is a time when we as educators have to really develop a deeper sense of that, that perspective and that joy for the work and that ability to see beyond perspective, right? And that's a vital part of what we do and what we share as a part of our weekly encouragement for educators every Monday morning. If you haven't signed up for that, please visit schoolgrowth.com. You can sign up there, or edfellowship.org, either place. We love to share those encouragement messages, and please invite others that are in your sphere of influence to come and join there, because it's free. It's no marketing. It really is just a voice into the lives of those who serve others through this incredible work together, right? And there's sometimes as we share those ideas eventually have a progression, right? They progress from an idea to a belief, and then sometimes to a conviction, right? Where we not only think it's true, we not only believe and able to put a faith into it, but our lives change. How we make decisions changes. How we use our time changes. We're willing to commit to a level of energy and work to pursue it. Right? It's what we seek, right? And that conviction, it makes a difference, and you can tell no matter what line of work that you're in, you can tell the people around you, the ones who carry a conviction, or they're more kind of doing it just for a career, or they're trying to do it just for a job, for maybe even a paycheck, right? And that it makes a difference, because leadership has such a lasting influence. It was like Harry Emerson Fosdick once said that the final test of a leader is that he leaves behind him in other men the conviction and the will to carry on. That conviction, that deep belief, and that changes lives. That deep belief that causes others to change what they do and how they use their incredible gifts for others. Right? The intensity changes with conviction. I remember one time there was a moment where I was teaching one of my kids, and the intensity in her eyes, the intensity of my daughter's eyes revealed the strength of conviction that were motivating her tireless effort. I mean, she was in it. She was all in because she was invested to overcome the obstacles of knowledge and skill. She didn't know how, but she was absolutely committed to learn, right? She was in it to win it. With just a little support and guidance, victory was achieved. She did it, right? Off she rode with her big brother with great excitement and no training wheels. You see, she had noticed that her older brother, who was actually 3 or 4 years older, the training wheels were off, and it allowed him to ride at a faster pace. And he was a big boy. And she realized, wait a minute, I can do that. Now, she was very young at the time, not really at the age of riding a bike without training wheels, but she was convicted. She was determined that she was going to ride her bike without the training wheels. And she did it. She was, you could tell, because the evidence of conviction, right? The evidence of conviction is found in relentless drive to achieve the desired result. She was not taking no for an answer. She was going to figure this out. It gives a profound sense of strength, of faith, of willpower to fight through it, right? That's what we mean by this idea of conviction. And it carries through over into our schools. It's like Pat Benatar once said, with the power of conviction, there is no sacrifice. With the power of conviction, there is no sacrifice. And sometimes as we experience school life, there are some people who just see it as a tremendous sacrifice, even as a burden, right? But conviction combined with a few other qualities is where excellence is realized. This is where you get there. This is how you become truly excellent at what you do. Become excellent individually, excellent as a team, right? Moral clarity, first and foremost, brings intellectual honesty and righteous virtue to anchor our belief, right? When we know this is the right thing to do, it would be wrong for us not to, right? There's a moral clarity to our mission. There's a moral clarity to this project. There's a moral clarity to our team, right? Determination, right? When you bring in, so you've got conviction, you have a moral clarity, and then you have a determination, right? That provides the fuel that turns that conviction into progressive results, right? It's that ability to, you fall down, you get up, you make a mistake, you figure it out, you design something, it doesn't work, you redesign it, and you redesign it, and you redesign it. Because why? Because we're all learning. We're figuring out how to continue on to the goal, right? Determination combined with moral clarity gives conviction feet. It makes it something that has the ability to make progress. And then there's adaptability, right? Throw that in, right? You throw that third ingredient in, game changer, right? Because it increases resilience. It attracts allies, friends who want to go with us on that journey, and it creates sustainable impact. We understand, we learn, we think we have it figured out, but as we go through it, because of our determination and because of our moral clarity, we listen. We take the feedback. We figure out what's not working, what is working, and wow, the combination of these elements, it yields a mission multiplier, right? It literally expands and increases our ability to achieve a noble mission. The combination of these elements produces a mission multiplier that transforms adequate educators into great educators. It transforms good schools into great schools. That's the difference. It's having a conviction with moral clarity, determination, and adaptability. Now, faith. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. It's Hebrews 11:1. Faith. Having that assurance is what drives conviction. It's not just an idea. It's not just a belief. It's a conviction. Now we're willing to consistently act on our convictions. That ability, that's the ultimate test of our professed faith, right? When we consistently act on our convictions. Because in the end, right, we're all just tourists here. We're all on a temporary visa with a little time to make it true. We're all just tourists. What will be left behind when the final bell rings? When that final bell rings through the hallways, how will they carry on? Will they remember? Will they carry those convictions forward? Will we have made a difference? Right? Is it a sacrifice to do what we do? Or does the power of conviction bring peace? That's the difference. That's where adequate educators become great educators. Because those who believe with assurance in what's promised, they work harder. They do more with a willing spirit, and they go through the setbacks. You see, they're in it to win it. And that's the difference. That's how you get there. So the challenge is, be a mission multiplier this week, my friend, using the power of your conviction to turn sacrifice into paradise. That one element of turning sacrifice into paradise. It's all in how we respond. It's all in our perspective. It's all in our conviction. And our prayer for you is that you're able to do that you're able to find that joy, that true joy that comes from the inside when you realize your eternal purpose, your calling, and you're able to answer that calling with a level of conviction that's not possible otherwise. Because when you have that, when you understand how much you've been given, how much has been given to you and has been forgiven as well, it becomes the game changer. So as you go through this week, we encourage you to be a blessing to others, invite them to come to be a part of the Educators Among Us podcast, and as well as to subscribe to the weekly encouragement for educators, and consider this question as you're going through your week. Did I do my best to be a mission multiplier today? Did I do my best to be a mission multiplier today? Love him and lead him, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.